is Daf Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. Okay, we are recording now. Lamed Gimel Amud Beis, and we are 3 lines before the bottom of the page, the penultimate line, the one before penultimate line. The line starts with the word Kodmu Bale Choivos. Yeah, the Bale Choivos Kodmu. Let's refresh our memories. We said yesterday that Machloikes Rabi Ishmael and Rabi Akiva. Do we say that when a person's Shor Tam gored someone, Bezos Hashem, this shows Lul Nishmas of Shmoyer Menachem and Akiva, Rus Bas Shalom, and Thor Bas Moshe, and Rochel Bas Ben Zion, and Lefos Yudis Bas Rivka, Gil Golda Bas Shifra, and of course Penina Chai Bas Gil Rochel. B'stoch Shachor Yisrael, weiter. What's Machlokes Rabi Ishmael and Rabi Akiva? Rabi Ishmael and Rabi Akiva argue when the Torah says Shor Tam Mishtan Megufoi. Yeah, you pay from the body of the Shor Tam if your Shor Tam was Nogeach. Was your Shor Tam Nogeach lately? You didn't even notice. That's a problem. So then we say that if the Shor Tam gores, says Rabi Ishmael, all it means Megufoi is what? That you have to pay the amount of money that the shor is worth. And also, as we develop, as we go along the sugya, it's much more also that Shor Tam would be a preferable mode of payment. But it doesn't say that the Nizak is actually an owner, a partner in the Shor Tam. No, that's the limit by Rabi Ishmael. While by Rabi Akiva we say no. Rabbi Akiva zok, nishtazoi. Rabbi Akiva says no, you're actually an owner, you, the Nizak, you are an owner, you're a legal owner in the body of the Shor Tam. Once the Gicha was done, once goring was done, Mimela, you are part of the story. You own part of the Shor. And there are many nafkaminas, many practical differences, applications between Rabi Ishmael and Rabi Akiva. For example, let's say the Mazik sold the Shor. The Mazik sold the Shor to someone else. According to Rabi Akiva, nothing even started. It's a joke. How can you sell something that's not yours? How can you sell a piece of land, let's say, that's only half yours, and you sold the whole thing? It's not a sale. I never agreed to it. Mashenke, and according to Rabi Ishmael, it's a sale. However, the sale is limited. It's a good sale on something that's called Be'ivri Korim Lazeh Mishuabad. The Shor is Meshubad. The Shor is kilo mortgaged, is kilo collateraled for the Nizak. The Nizak is supposed to take from the Shor, although not only from the Shor, and therefore the Nizak can come one day to the guy who bought the Shor and say, I'm sorry, the Shor was yours for a while. I'm okay with that, to use the Shor for a while, but Lamaisa now I'm knocking on the door and I'm saying it's mine because now I want to collect my debt from it. It's just a way to collect the debt, but it's not yet his mamish. And therefore the sale was partially this. That's one of Kamina. We spoke about Hekdesh. Hekdesh would also be enough Kamina that the Mazik cannot be Makdish, cannot dedicate to the Beis HaMikdash, although Rabbi Akiva also would agree you need to do some symbolic, what's we call it, a pidyon, because to show that Hekdesh is not a joke. And then I think we can continue now. We're in the middle of explaining a Brisa. Remember the Brisa which follows Rabi Ishmael. And we are in Kodmu Bale Choivos, 3 lines from the bottom of the page. Ellen has a question. There's another nafkamina between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Ishmael. What would be if the Mazik tells the Nizak, I'm keeping the Shor, don't worry, I have cash, I have lands, I have other ways to pay you. I'm not giving you the Shor, this is my prized Shor. Can he say that? Yes or no? Yes. According to Ken and according to yes, and according to no. According to Rabbi Ishmael, yes. According to Rabi Akiva, no. It's mine. I'm a partner. You can't kick me out. I'm a partner just like you. Very good. You guys are on the ball. You guys are amazing. Yes. I'm listening. And then, weiter. Finally, Kodmu Bale Choivos. The Bale Choivos, let's say that person had debts. In other words, the one whose Shor was Nogeach, okay? The one who is the Mazik, he also has debts, he owes money to people. Why? Because he borrowed money from someone. The Bale Choivos, the lender, heard about the story. My borrower's Shor was Mazik. I'm quickly chapping him, Igbio. He took the Shor, he took hold of the Shor, took possession of the Shor, in order what? To get back the debt that he's owed. Bein chav ad shelo hizik, whether the debt was before the nezek, ben hizik ad shelo chav, or the nezek was before the debt, it does make a difference who came first chronologically speaking. Loy osa v'loy klum, gornish mitnish. What's gornish mitnish? The baal chov, the fact he grabbed the shor is nothing. We take it out of his hands. We say your grabbing of the shore is nothing. Because the Shor Tam, the only way, I wouldn't say the only way, Rabi Ishmael, it's a bit difficult, but the preferred mode of payment of the Shor Tam is from the goof of the Shor Tam. Rabi Akiva, that's not even a question, but even Rabi Ishmael, we say that there are two baal chovos here. One baal chov is somebody who lent you money some time ago, cash. The other one is your baal chov because you gored his shore. So there are two people fighting for the same shore, basically. Ever played musical chairs when you were in kindergarten 10 years ago? Yeah, so what do we say? I don't know. So then it's musical chairs. Who's going to grab the show? Who's going to grab the show? Well, we say what? That it seems like Davka the Nizak, the one who is damaged by the show, he has the right to take the show and not the Baal Choiv, regardless of chronology. And this is very difficult. Now that's the end of quoting the Brisa. That was a quote from the Brisa. Now the Gemara is going to dissect that. And the Gemara is going to ask a question. Everybody in this room has learned many times already all the stories of Shibudim. When it comes to Shibudim, dates are very important, right? Who borrowed first? Who bought first? Okay? Frag the Gemara. Let's go into dates now. If the person was mazik, and then not the person, the show was mazik on Rosh Hashanah, ad sheloi chav, and the choiv came on Chanukah. Remember, choiv Chanukah. He was goring in Rosh Hashanah, and choiv came on Chanukah. Makes sense. Nizokin kodmu. Who comes first in line? There's a queue, sir. I'm sorry, there's a queue. What's the queue? First of all, there was the nezek, and therefore you, the baal chov, you came second. How are you grabbing? Chutzpan. Yeah, you're grabbing what, and you came second. You're jumping the queue. You can't do that. Aval chav ad shelo hizik. But in the case with the choiv, ad shelo hizik, if the choiv was on Rosh Hashanah and the nezek was on Chanukah, baal choiv kodim, then I'm sorry. Why are you taking the shore out of the baal chov's hands? Why is the Brisa telling me categorically that the baal chov is always losing and the nezek always winning? Why? The baal chov was first. There's order in the world. Why should it be left alone, high and dry? And then we continue and ask now a bigger chiddush. Va'afilu hizik ad shelo chav. Let's say that there was nezek, there was nezek, and then choiv. Let's say, like the first case, the nezek was first on Rosh Hashanah, and the choiv was on Chanukah. But the baal choiv jumped the line. Baal choiv kodim. We say that baal choiv, which came second. Maybe we should say that because he grabbed it, he should keep it. Wow, that's a big chiddush. Maybe you want to go against the line, against the queue, against the order, and say that the baal choiv, really, you're saying the baal choiv always, we ignore him. Maybe we should say the other way. Maybe we should say that the baal choiv, once he grabbed it, he becomes the owner. He becomes the one to catch it. He has some kind of right of way. You'd say, ma pitom. In other words, again, let's say there was goring on Tishrei, right? Baal choiv, the debt was on Chanukah, but the baal choiv grabbed it first. He came second, he grabs the shore, and the Gemara now wants to suggest and say that he's right. He can grab it. Amazing chidush. Shmamino, if we don't say that, if we say that you have to keep the order and you can't behave like in the jungle and you came second and you take the shore first, if we don't believe in that, Shmamino, that is to say, Baal Choiv Meuchal. Now we're quoting Gemara in Ksubas, which I'm going to read to you inside soon. Im Yirtzeh Hashem. Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah. Excuse me. Maybe it's not Tzadik. 1 second. Yes. I'll read it to you soon. I'm sorry, I'm back to life. Shmamina, Baal Chov Meuchal Shekodam V'Gova. A Baal Choiv that's Meuchal. A Baal Choiv that lent money second. on Chanukah. Shekodem v'gova, he was audacious and mechutzef, and he collected the land first, before the first baal chov. He jumped the line basically, mashegova, loy gova. It seems from our brisa over here that it's not right, like all of us would say, right? In other words, you're going with something and you're jumping the line. You're the one who lent money second. Chronologically, you came second, and you're taking it first, and you're the one taking it and not the other guy. So, l'choira, from our brisa, it sounds like that's a rule. Now, that could be very nice. What does the Gemara want? The problem is, big problem, that this issue is a big machloikes in Ksubas. See the Gemara here in Ksubas? Even if you don't, it's the beginning of the Misha, and also the 10th parak in Ksubas. A guy married two women, one on Tafshin Pei, the other one Tafshin Pei Aleph. He wanted a Corona wedding. He wanted both kinds of weddings, with Corona, without Corona. He got married to a girl Tafshin Pei, another girl Tafshin Pei Aleph, and then what? He divorced both of them, or he died, whatever. Now they both want Ksuba. The later woman who came second, she grabbed first. She's a mechutzav, she's aggressive. She grabbed first. So what do we say? Apparently it's machloikes. It's a machloikes. Here we see that it's a machloikes between the Tanoim. It's a machloikes. It's a question whether a baal chov that came second. Some people say that if he grabbed first, he's okay. He's fine. Everyone's asking here. I know you're asking. I read your mind. Akiva, the mind reader. Yeah, in a show. Illusionist. And I think you're asking, what on earth is going on here? Not just unjust, it's against halacha. Why? Because we learned many times that if a guy buys a field, remember, if a person buys a field from someone, and then a person, the seller became baal chov later, then if the baal chov came after the customer, the buyer, he can't touch it. I bought it before it came into the world. So I want to say the same thing by two Baalei Choivos. How can the second Baal Chov take before the first Baal Chov? The first Baal Chov created Shibud first. How do you entertain such a thought? And there is such an opinion in the Gemara. Says Tosfos over here, B'Shem Rashbam, he brings down the answer like this. We have a concept called we want, it's a bit like the capitalist system. They want the rich people to be happy with themselves and be content and be successful, because this way they'll employ the poor people or pay more taxes to the poor people. And sometimes halacha believes in that too. That's called shaloti noel delis bifnei loivin. We don't want the door to be locked and everyone will close their gemach. And therefore, we want the malve to feel comfortable. If a malve knows that because he came second, he will not be able to collect the debt, he will close his gemach. It happens twice, three times, he'll close his gemach. Therefore, we believe here in very, like American system, very, very, very free market, very almost jungle kind of market. Whichever Baal Chov grabs first is going to grab it. The first one lost. The first one lost for Tosfos. Maybe the first one will close his gemach. He'll say, what? I lent money first? And I'm not getting it, and the second guy came instead of me. It's really a cruel game. But Lamaisa, you could have hacked it also. Yeah, nobody says you shouldn't. It became like free for all. It's like the game. It's like called Olim Gval in a way, or it's like the children's game of what? Of musical chairs. Whoever sits first, if he sits first. In other words, because we want the Baalei Gmach to always know that there is a potential for them to get the money back, we even allow such a thing. If you don't like it, that's a machloikis. There are those who say mapitom. There's another opinion in Ksubas who says everything has to be by order. First come, first served. Okay, there is such an opinion. In any event, what we care about over here, it looks like from our Gemara over here, from our brisa, that we say that there is an order, right? If the Baal Chov was second, we take it out of his hands. Mashma, we go by the order. So if so, how can the Amiroim in Maseches Ksubas argue there's a brisa that sides with one of them? Can you and I argue about something said by Moshe Rabbeinu? No, it's already a done deal. That's a problem here. Yeah, why don't we bring that as a source for one of the Amiroim? Answers the Gemara. Lo, not necessarily. You're misreading the whole thing. When the third line, could be that really we don't follow the order. Could we believe in a jungle system and a very, very free market of chapping your loan back? Maybe. However, how do you explain our brisa over here? The shiny hossam, it's different over there with the Shor Tam. The Omer Lei, Omar Lay is the Nizak tells the Baal Chov, who's fighting here? The Baal Chov grabbed the shore, and the Nizak is screaming, and we say, yeah, the Nizak is right. Mr. Baal Chov, you get the shore out of your hand, give it to Mr. Nizak. Why do we support him? Not because he was first or second. The Omar Lay, the Nizak can tell the Baal Chov, Iluga bechava. Let's say, like your dream, let's say you were the first one. Yeah, let's say you were the first one. Let's say you were the one in Tishrei and I'll be the one in Cheshvan. How would it happen, Bichlal, that I would be in the scene if your shore would have gored? Get it? In other words, if let's say, let's put it this way. Let's say in Tishrei you would have grabbed it first. Let's say you were first, okay? Then in Chanukah the shore gored. Then the shore would have gored, it would be your shore. Get what I'm saying? You would be the owner, you'd anyhow have to pay me. The shore is the one who gored anyways. So whether it's from the real owner or from you would have been owner, I'm collecting from the shore always. Ilu gabach hava, had it been by you, lo minach have gabi lay, wouldn't have been taken it from you, wouldn't have I collected it from you. The high toiro, the azkan, the shore that was mazik me, minei mishtalamna, from it I want to be paid. That's one explanation. You follow what I'm saying? In other words, usually really maybe we go by the order. Here the reason why the Nizak is always right, Mami is always right, the Nizak is always right. The Nizak is always the one who's taking the shor, not the Baal Chov, because it says whether you're first or second doesn't make a difference. Even if you're before me, yeah, let's rewrite history. The shor would have gored in your possession, that you would be the mazik. You would be the one mazik. Mimela would have taken it from you. That's one way of seeing it. No. Oh, now that's hypothetical. Maybe it would have happened. Or Toysa says a different question, similar to yours. The first Toysa on the left here says, had it been, of course I'd be chayev, because then I would be the posher. I would be the nasty owner who's careless, right? But Lamaisa now, I was not the careless. You're playing those games of would have been, should have been, could have been. It didn't happen. Had it been, I would be chayiv. What do you want from me? I did not cause you any harm, really. So why taking it from me? Good question, similar to yours. Answers Tosfos. I'm reading Tosfos inside to let you have fun. Answers Tosfos, Lamedal, the medal of first Tosfos, Yilu Gabi Chavo. Tema, from the beginning of Tosfos. Had it been really the Baal Chov who would have collected it and it would have been goring, he'd be chayiv because he's a posher. Now he was not posher. Posher means negligent in the Shmira, but now what do you want from the posher? You would have been negligent. I wasn't. I'm a nice guy. I'm just a nice Baal Chov Gmach owner who wants to take the money back. Therefore, Tosfos changes pshat. He says, the loy komer ele kloimer the en guf hashor meshubed leBaal Chov kmo shu meshubed lenizak shemishtalim migufo. Very good. As I told you many times, you the Baal Chov, the shor is not meshubed to you more than anything else. You the Baal Chov, you're supposed to get cash. If not cash, what do you get? Land. If not land, you get metaltalin, you get all kinds of things, yeah? But to me, the Nizak, even according to Rabi Ishmael, my preferred lechatchila, the first shiva that latches onto something, it latches onto what? Sure. Because, and that's shot in the words of the Brisa. Yeah, that's shot in the words of the Brisa, that the Brisa says, because he's Nizak, right? Let's go back to the Brisa. The Brisa says the Lashon was that why is a Baal Chov always losing? Because we said what? Okay, because we say no. What's the Lashon of the Brisa? And that's pshat. Why is it that the Nizak always gets first? Because he has more of right of way than the other one. And because the goof of the shore is my lefi the Torah, what I should be getting my money from, and you have many other options halachically. Mimela, I would get the shore and not you. Says the Nizak to the guy. Okay. Weiter. Ton Rabbanon. Are you okay? 2 dots? Yeah. We have a very, very cool brisa now. Beautiful brisa now. They're all beautiful, but this brisa is very sticky. Dono Bonon. Shor Shvemosayim. Shenogach Shor Shvemosayim. Very interesting story. I'll ask you a question before we start the brisa. Riddle. Riddle time. You tell me, what would happen according to either Rabi Ishmael or Rabi Akiva. Ready, steady? There's Rabi Akiva on one side and Rabi Ishmael on the other side. Let's say the shor gored the other shor. That shor is worth 200 shekels. Okay, it's very cheap. And he gored how much? Let's say worth of 100. Oh, he owes 100. So now 100 has to go. Everyone agrees 100 from the body of the shor, l'chatchila, has to go to the nizak. Very nice. So I'm owed 100 out of 2. Beseder? Yofi. What happens if that shor all of a sudden blossomed? The mazik. The shor mazik, now the prices of shor shot up like apartments in Bet Shemesh. Yeah, let's say shor became very fashionable. All the celebrities in the world, they all have a shor. If you don't have a shor, you're a nerd. Every teenager has to have a shor in his house, and if his parents don't buy him a shor, they're bad parents. He's going to snitch to the psychologist that they're not giving him enough. And the psychologist will tell them, buy a shor. So then the shvorim became very expensive. And your shor that's now 200, that shor became 1,000. So that shor increased in price. Instead of 200, it's now 1,000. What do you say? Now they come to Beis Din. After the shor became more expensive, they come to Beis Din. Beis Din evaluated the shor. He's worth how much? 1,000, not 200. How much? But the nezek was what? Was 100. How much should he pay him? Think.
No.
1 or 5? No, not 4. Well, why 100? Think. Don't just give me numbers. I'm not good with numbers. According to it would be only 100. According to Y, it should be 500. Why? According to Rabi Ishmael, you're not an owner in the shor. You're not a partner in the shor. I just owe you 100. And that's about it. That's about it. 100. The fact is my shor increased is none of your, excuse my language, none of your stupid business. I owe you from the shor 100, and that's all. Go home and say thank you. The fact my shor increased, nothing to do with you. You're not an owner, says Rabi Ishmael. But Rabi Akiva, he's a partner. Rabi Akiva believes he's a partnero. He's a partner. Partners, they grow together. Didn't you see all these nice ads to all the banks and all the, these companies that grow with us, right? In other words, what? You have to, if you have half in the shor, that half increases relatively, right? Yeah, by relativity, it grows, right? And if now it's 100, it's really 50%. 50% of 1,000, even I know, is 500. Now he owes him 500. That's what I would say, according to Rabi Akiva. Not only I would say, the Bryce also says it. I'm glad we had this intro. Clear or not clear? Are we happy? Yeah, good. Says the Brisa. The Brisa is going to give us 4 cases. One more tiny intro. 4 cases, very easy. What happens if the nizak shor increased or decreased in value? And what happens if the mazik increased or decreased in value? Okay, get me? Let's see. It's time to start. Ton Rabbanon. Shor shve moneh. Yeah, a shor shve masayim, excuse me. A shor worth 200, shenogach shor shve masayim. And he gored another shor that's worth 200. The chov boy b'chamishim zuz. Now, the damage you caused was 50. He didn't die, Alan, like the case you said before. He's a damaged shor. He was 200. Now he's broke his hip, I don't know, something. Now he's worth only 150. Okay, so he damaged him for 50 zuz. How much does he owe him? I thought my math was bad. He damaged him 50. Half of 50 is...
Which is 150, half 150.
No. The damage...
50.
That's 25.
How much does he owe him?
25.
50.
25. He's a Shor Tam.
Oh, then 25.
He's a Shor Tam. 25. 50 divided to 2 is 25. Yeah, my math is better than everybody. He caused the damage worth 50, so now he's owed 25. The shovach, now the first case, listen carefully, is the nizak, the damaged shor became better. Shovach, how he got better, we'll discuss later, and let's ignore it now. He all of a sudden, for whichever reason, became worth much more. The amad al-obama is zuz. Wow. In other words, now instead of being worth 150, he's now worth 400. Maybe it's the market. Let's say there are 2 options here. 400 zuz. Shilmole zikoi, but however, if not for his nezek, for his broken hip, he would have been 800. Yeah. In other words, he increased in price more than he used to be. He used to be 200. Now he's worth 150 because he's damaged. Now something happened. Maybe the market went up. Now he's worth 400. But could have been, if not for you damaging my shore in the current market price or in the current situation would have been 800. So what do we say? Noisen kishas ha nezek. What does mean noisen kishas ha nezek? Rashi has two explanations. One explanation which Rashi follows is like this. The Mazi can tell the Nizak a bit slyly, maybe. He could say, listen, your shore was 200. I'm so sorry for the damage that I caused a damage of 50 and over 25, but really your shore is now worth 400. Now when we come to Beis Din, your shore Ki'ilu recuperated by himself. Is now worth 400. So I don't really owe you anything, because by the time you came to court, I'm so happy for you, my friend, and for myself, I don't have to pay, that now, really, look at the newspapers. Don't you see the prices of oxen? Look at oxen.com. Everyone's buying oxen, and now yours is worth 400. So who's Beni Ben Chomau? Who cares that he became from 250 to 200 to 150? But I said, now you recuperated it anyways. So now I don't really owe you anything. The answer is you're wrong. Why is he wrong? Because if not for your nezek, he would have been worth 800. So your nezek is affecting him. You affected the capital not to grow as much as it could have, right? I know the market went up, but with your foolish nezek, I would have been much more. Therefore, you have to pay me how much? The 25. You don't have to pay more, but you do have to pay for that 25 because there are repercussions from that. So you pay the 25. Okay. Chichesh. Let's say now, avoid the other way. Let's say that shore was gored from 200 after the stark goring became 150. But by the time they came to court, let's say there are, 2 weeks between the actual goring and the court case opening. When they came to the court, that Nizak shore became even worse. In other words, worth even less. It devaluated more. Now it's only worth 100. Yeah, not 150, went down, whoop, another 50, plummeted. So then he has to pay the whole thing. The mazik has to pay not 25, he has to pay 50, half of 100. We take into the account the further deterioration. And you have to pay how it deteriorated up to the court case. The court case is like the dead end. Okay, why? It's quite obvious why, but still the Gemara is going to explain it. These are the two cases of what? That's Saresha. What happens if the shor hanizak, the damaged, increased or decreased? Case number 3 and 4. We're about to start 3 and 4. Everybody. Shavach mazik or shibeach, the mazik. Now the mazik is worth more. The mazik was what? Was, let's say, 200. And now it's worth 400, let's say. Noisen lo kishas ha nezek. He gives him only kishas ha nezek. In other words, what did we say? Let's say instead of how much? 200, you're worth now 400, double. So would we say it's percentage? I owe you 25 because that's really half of the value, yeah? But maybe now you're worth more. Yeah, now the show became worth double as much. Maybe I should pay you 50, not 25. Maybe it grows exponentially. We say no. You give him like Rabi Ishmael. Like Rabi Ishmael, we say no, you're not a partner. I'll give you 25. The fact that my bull is worth more now, none of your business. You're not a partner. I just owe you money. I owe you 25. Go home and say thank you. That's what this, and then that's what we say here, Rabi Ishmael style. Kichesh. However, let's say the mazik, the damager, decreased in price, because the market went down, because of whatever. Then kishas amod bedin. Then we say no. Then he gets less. Instead of 25, he only has to pay 12.5, half of 25. Why? Because we look at him as a partner. We say he's a partner. Partners, as we all know, didn't you invest your millions in Coca-Cola? In Zoom, I don't know what you did, right? I know. So when you invest, it's a roller coaster. You go up and you go down. Now we say no, you're a partner. And therefore, because my show, says the Mazik, is worth less, you relatively, the same relativity, you by percentage, you have to get less, only 12.5. Now that, of course, is a problem. Why? Because it looks like we're jumping and hopping between Rabi Ishmael and Rabi Akiva. That will be dealt with later. That's the end of the brisa. I just read and translated the brisa. Now we're going to explain the brisa. Okay? Amama. Shavach mazik noisin kishasa nezik. If the mazik grew and grew and grew in value, he's worth now not 200 but 400. We say, I don't care. You give him like the time of the nezik. In the time of the nezik, he was worth 200, and he gored 100, and therefore he's owed 50. You give him, let's say, 50 or 50, 25, whichever the amount was, half of the nezik of the time of the nezik. And even though the shor mazik became worth more and more and more and more, it inflated in price. We say, I don't care. I'll give you not by percentage, by number. That's the difference. Is it number or percentage? That's how I would say it in nice English. If it's paid by number, the number stays the same. Money, who is that? Rabi Ishmael. That obviously follows the opinion of Rabi Ishmael. The Oma, baal chov. You're just a baal chov. You're not a partner. You're owed money. Vizuzi, the masiklei. I owe you money. How much do I owe the time of the goring? I owe you how much? I caused the nezik of 50. I owe 25. Take 25 and go home. And don't start bending in my business that my thing became more expensive. You're not a partner, none of the business. Okay, very nice. Very good. Sounds like a brisa. Follows who? Rabi Ishmael. Aim a seifa. Look at the seifa. What does the seifa say? Kichesh. Let's say our dear shor is now, instead of 200, is worth 100. Worth a half. By the time that you get to the court case, he's worth a half. Yeah. Then we say kishas amod bedin. Then we go by the later time, by the court case, and he only has to pay him half. Instead of 50, or I would say 25, he has to pay him 12 and a half, because we say, well, he's a partner, and partners should know that they take risks. And because he's a partner in Mashor, I don't owe him a number, I owe him percentage. Now the percentage became 12 and a half. Atzon, that follows Rabi Akiva. That follows Rabi Akiva. They say they're partners. Partners are partners for good or for bad. In this case, it's bad. But the contradiction screams to high heaven. As the Gemara asks the contradiction, Reisha, the beginning of the brisa, Rabi Ishmael. The beginning is Rabi Ishmael. The Sefer Rabi Akiva. How can you have one brisa that talks the beginning of Rabi Ishmael, at the end is like Rabi Akiva? This brisa, this a brisa. What a schizophrenia. What's going on over here? You start with Rabi Ishmael and end up with Rabi Akiva. Yeah, what's going on over here? Answers Gemara, lo. The Gemara has its way. Kula, the Gemara gives you a good answer. Kula Rabi Akiva. The entire brisa from beginning till the end is Rabi Akiva. The question is, wait a second. If it's Rabi Akiva, what's the problem? Why do you say that when my shor of 200 became 400, why do we freeze the number on 25? If I'm a partner, then when it grows, I should also be a partner. Now I should get 50, 100, 200, all the yeah? Depends on the court case. Why should I get more? Answers the Gemara, Ukimta, but not a good Ukimta. You know the story over here is Pitmoi. Pitmoi means lefatem is to force feed, to feed a lot, or sometimes to force feed, which means the mazik. You know why the shor is worth now 400 and 200? No. The celebrities in California do not buy oxen more than before, and the price in the market did not grow. No, Elamai, the mazik, I'm the mazik store in Rabbani. I'm the mazik. I jolly well invested in it. I invested a lot of food in my shor mazik. Yeah, I gave him food. I gave it good training in the gym. And a from gym, and what? And now it's worth 400. But Mr. Honeycomb, I am the one who invested, not you. So even though you're a partner, you're sitting not doing anything. Well, I was working hard, and I'm the one who actually got the short to be worth 400. Therefore, you're not getting in the profit anything, because I'm the only one who caused the profit. You may argue and say, wait a second, I thought of the question and Tosus answered my question. That's not true, L'chora. Let's say there are two partners. One of the partner invested and the other one didn't. Let's say we had a plot of land in Ramah, Tesvav 3, something in the future of Beshemish. Right now, the plot of land there is only worth 10 million. Okay, each one invested 5 million. That's cheap. You wanna buy it with me? 5 million each, no problem. 5 million each, and then what? 10 million, and then I build a hotel and a hospital and swimming pools and everything. Now it's worth 100 million. Yeah. So wouldn't the other partner also get 50 million? Well, yes and no. He would get more money, but he would have to deduct. If only one partner invested, then of course you have to pay the other partner what he invested. But the rest, the other silent partner also gets. So Tosis explains Over here, we're talking about it. He fed him 200 and it became worth 200 more. Basically, what you call in English, he broke even. He invested in the shore, which was 200. He gave him 200 zuz of good food and energy and enzymes and all the good food and all the things worth 200. He became that. He became 200 worth more. He didn't make a profit. In that case, you, the silent partner, invested 0. I'm the active partner. I invested everything and I broke even. So I don't owe you anything. That's a story. Get me? In other words, it's true that we're partners. Let me just stress it to you. If the market value went up, then according to Rabi Akiva, he would get more. If none of them did anything, they were sipping their coffees, each one in his own house, being angry with the other guy, and then they read the news online, oh, oxen became 50% more, 100% more, then of course, Rabi Akiva would say, when they get to court, then the Nizak would get much more because he goes by percentage, he's his partner. But in our case, he doesn't get more because the only investor was the Maziks, yeah? And the Mazik was investing, the Nizak went nothing, and the Mazik said, I'll take everything. I owe you money, I'll give you the money, 25, not a penny more. Because the whole increase in price was just because of me, not because of you. That's it, okay? Good, that's a good answer. However, we have a side problem here. If you want to make that brisa, line starts with the word askinan. You're more or less in the middle of the page. A few lines above the Mishnah. If you want to tell me that this entire brisa talks about a shore that didn't increase in value because the stock market decided, but because what's pitmoy? Because really the owner invested and fed him well. If so, something here doesn't make sense. Now let's go to the Reisha. Remember the Reisha? The Reisha talks about the case in which the Nizak became worth more. Remember, what was the Reisha? Let's refresh our memories. Let the Gemara refresh our memories. The story of the Reisha was as follows. My Joey, the cute little shore, was worth how much? 200. Your disgusting mazik made it worth 150. Nachon? Good. Now, how about you owe me? 25. Good. Now, you know what happened? Now, I fed him and fed him and fed him. Now it's worth 400 zuz, right? And what do we say? What does it mean, noisen lo kishasa nezek? You still owe me 25, and you cannot say that anyway, the shore now is worth more. Frag the Gemara, what? What's the havamina to say such a chutzpah taina? Let me just get you into it more. Which means, let's reread the story. You want to tell me that the oxen in the Mishnah, their prices increase not because it happened by itself, because a movie star decided to buy oxen and a singer. No, because why? Somebody invested in it, the owner invested. So let's reread the whole brisa now in this new light. What are you telling me now? My Nizak was damaged by you. Was a beautiful shore. It was 200, now it's only worth 150. I invested in it to recuperate it and rehabilitate it, and now I invested to make it worth 400. You come to Beis Din with a big fat lawyer, and you say, you know what? I'm sorry, but the other side didn't lose anything anyways, because it was from 200 to 150, but now it's worth 400 anyways, so it didn't lose anything, so I won't pay him anything. Says the Brisa, yeah, you can say that. No, you can say that because it's worth 400, then what? They don't owe him anything. Frag the Gemara, what that even the most corrupt Tim McKenzie, I don't think would say such a thing. How can I come to you and say, I damaged you, yeah, but you paid money and you invested to recuperate the damage, and now you're worth more, and therefore I don't owe you. It's your investment. What a chutzpah! It didn't happen by itself. It happened because the person invested, the owner. How can I say I don't owe anything to the owner because look, the owner's shore is worth so nice and beautiful now. It is 400. Thank you, because the owner himself, the Nizak, is the one who did it. So you have a minute to say that the brisa of the Heilige Gemara has to tell me such a thing. Therefore, it doesn't make sense. We're talking about Pitum. Must be the Brisa did not talk about his own investment. The Brisa talk about price that just shot up by itself. They opened the newspaper, the Daily Mail, and they saw what? The oxen around the world became worth much more. It became the new Corona Fed. And therefore what? That's a Havamina. Then it could say it's a Havamina. The Mazik will tell the Nizak, listen, I'm so sorry that instead of 200, your shore is worth 150. But Lamaisa, you're a lucky guy. Fluke, look, Hashem loves you before Rosh Hashanah, and all the prices of oxen shot up to 400. Oh, that I can hear Havamina. He would say, I'm off the hook because Yeshua happens to be worth more. That I can hear. But must be not like we're saying. It's not because he fed it, because it happened by itself. Because if he fed it, the beginning of the price doesn't make sense. Answers the Gemara. Amar of Pope, line starts with Pope. Amar of Pope. Reisha mashkachas la ben de pitma pitumi ben de chov chamimela. In the Reisha, we don't have to make an ukimta. The Reisha, where the mazik claims my damage is not affecting you anymore because you recuperated, there would be either by pitum, either when you fed it, or chov chamimela. It just became better by itself. It ate a lot, or the stock market went up. Of course, the only chiddush is, when it was shav chamimela, the increase in price was by itself, was not due to the investment of the owner. And then we say, we say, even though you're lucky and by itself, not because of you, by itself it became worth more, we say, I don't care, Mr. Mazik, you damage, you pay for the damage. But Seifa, the Seifa and the Reisha can both talk in Pitmoy, and the Reisha's Chidush would be not Pitmoy, but it happened by itself. The Seifa is only by Pitmoy. Why? The case of the Seifa, what is the Seifa? When the Mazik became worth more, when the Mazik became more expensive, got more expensive and more worthy because of the investment of the mazik can tell the nizak, your partner, but partners who don't do anything, or just sitting on their back and not doing anything, not investing anything, they have no say. I'm the only partner who worked here, and I made it worth 400. Therefore, you'll get the original amount, and you will not get the percentage. And it's all Rabi Akiva, as we said before. Let's just continue one more point, and then I can hear questions. Kichesh, what was the last story? Let's say the Nizak became thinner and weaker and less valuable. Then we say Kishas Amud Bedin, which means what? Let's say on Sunday, there was a goring took place on Sunday. From 200, it was worth 150. How much do I owe him? I would say 25. But the court case took 2 weeks. It took them 2 weeks to get to Beis Din. It was a Chagim, everything's Echra Chagim. So then in 2 weeks' time, they meet in Beis Din, and by then you know what happened? The shore is not just worth 150, it's worth 100. Yeah, there's not damage of 50. The damage continued and deteriorated. How come he became thinner? What made him look thinner and be thinner and unwell? Let's say he became thinner because he worked him too hard. He worked hard for 2 weeks, and the owner didn't make sure to treat him so nicely, and he became weaker and weaker, nothing to do with the makkah, nothing to do with the goring. So then the mazik can tell the nizak, could tell him, At makachjas, you are the one who caused him to be weaker, and I have to pay for that. What a chutzpah. That's also chutzpah. We don't always believe the underdog. We're not liberals over here. The underdog is always right. Sometimes the mazik is also right. You're mechutzef. You ask, I gored you 50, so I owe you 25. Now you worked him hard in the field, so he's now looking 100. You're playing the misken. It's only 100. It's your fault. I have to pay more now. I have to pay 50 instead of 25. Omer Avashi, right? The kichesh machmas maka. The Omer le karna de toirach kvira be, which means we talk over here. No. He became thinner and weaker and sadder and more terrible. Why? Because of the makkah. The doctor, the veteriner can come and say and prove to Beis Din that the reason why the shore is now weaker and debilitated, you know why? Because of the makkah. As many times there's a first time damage, the first time damage, and then there is the results later, the ripple effect. If you can prove that enachinami, it became thinner and weaker because of the original goring, then we say kana de toirach kvira bei. It's as if the keren, what's the keren? The horn of your shore is keilu buried in mine. Keilu your shore's horn is still stuck in mine and still causing more and more damage. And therefore, yes, it's not because of me, the nizak, because of you, the mazik. You caused nezek, which initially was 50, That's initial shock. Then there was afterwards deterioration that followed through, and it's lamaisa because of you. So now it became 100 nezek. Don't pay me 25, pay me 50. And that's a question and comments. I can continue to the next Mishnah. But if you have questions, I welcome them. Oh.
So if the
Yeah, I'm listening.
If your shore gored my shore, and my shore was 200 damage.
Say that. Says the Mishnah, the Heilige Mishnah. Oh, Ellen asked before about the nevela. What about the dead body? Let's see the story. Shor Shvematayim, says the Mishnah. A shor worth 200. Shenogach Shor Shvematayim. A shor worth 200. Gored another bull worth 200. Then the nevela yofa klum. He is smashed into bits. He totaled him. The nevela is worth 0 times 0 equals 0, which means he created the damage of complete 200. How much does he owe him? 100. He's a Tammy. 100. Amar Rabi Meir, says Rabi Meir, al ze ne'emar, u'machris ha'shor hachai, v'chotzu es kaspoi. It says in the Torah something very interesting. It says that the mazik and nizak, they have to sell the live shore and split it into two. We know better now what it means after Rabi Ishmael and Rabi Akiva. And it says, V'gam esamei sichatzun. They also share, they also split the dead nevela. Okay, so Rabbi Meir would tell you, okay, that's not the case of the Torah, right? Because if the nevela is worth something, they also split the nevela, meaning half nezik. So all very nice, but if the nevela is worth 0, what's left? The live shore. The live shore, you get half of the live shore. So all very good. Rabi Yehuda doesn't like something here. And this, by the way, is a Mishnah. We cannot really understand what does Rabi Yehuda want from Rabbi Meir until we see the Gemara. We're just translating now. Rabbi Yehuda, v'chen halacha. Halachically, you are right. I agree with you halachically. That's Shor Tam. We learned it in Cheder. 200 divided to 2. You have to give 100. However, I have an issue with the way you interpret the pasuk. Because you bring the pasuk here, you're bringing psukim. I have a problem with the way you interpret the pasuk. Kiyamta, according to your scenario, the way you paint the picture here, you're mekayim, you're fulfilling, you're explaining. You're explaining that what they sell the live show and they split the money. Makes sense. He's worth 200. I'm owed 100. Let's sell it and do half. All very nice. However, I have an issue now. You're not actualizing part of the Torah by the way you describe things. It says in the Torah that they also divide the dead animal. And your scenario is what? The dead animal is worth 0. So tell me, what did the Torah mean when it says you split the nevela, the dead body, into 2? What does that mean? And therefore, you know what I would say? You know the story, which is my preferred story? I'll tell you what the Torah is talking about. A 200 bull gored another $200 bull. The nevela is worth 50. Mackenzie would gladly take the nevela for his next kratzmech, which hopefully will never happen. Yeah, 50 zuz. Okay, so now what? What's the damage? 200 minus 50 that is left behind is 150. He damaged him 150. Which means if they split the nevela, 50, right? Nevela is worth 50 divided to 2 is 25, right? 25 we'll leave aside. Nevela divided to 2. Oh, very nice. Now you tell me the shor chai you divide to 2, it's 200. That's 100. Half of 200 is 100. 100 plus 25 is 125. So the Maisa, they take the 125, each, and therefore, how much was the whole damage? The damage was 250. Divided to 2 is 125. Magic. In other words, now the nizak was paid half. 100 from the live, 25 from the dead is 125, which is half of the nezek of 250. Yeah, very nice. Now, but Lamaisa, no, the damage wasn't 250. No, they take the 150 and they divide the one. Wait, I knew I'm going to get confused. 75. No, the nezek was 150. The nezek was 150. He was worth 200. Now it's only worth 50. So the nezek is 150. 150 divided to 2 is 75. He's owed 75. So we say take 125, yeah, and eat that 125. That's what you divide. Wait, 125 divided to 2 is not 75.
The Nazik is worth 100, and the dead body is worth 50.
No, so you take half of this and half of that. It's 125 the total you get. So if he gets 125, he get 125 to split into is 62.5. So here Rashi, look at Rashi. Rashi here says something which I don't understand. Look at Rashi, yeah. Look at Rashi in the first wide line, and you help me over here. Right? The nezek is 150. In other words, I damaged you 150 worth. How much do I have to give you? 75, because it's a tam. Your shore is worth 200. Now your shore is worth 50 because it's dead. I caused damage of 150. Yes. How much do I owe you? My shore being a little tamalek, 75. True. So I have to give you 75. I have to give you 75. By nizak lahafsid, the nizak now has to lose 75, meaning he only gets half. He only gets 75. He takes the half live and half dead. The shavu kuf chafei. And what? And they're worth together 125. Why 120? That I don't get. If they took between them, maybe between them took 125. 125 divided to 2 is not 75. So then it's not my problem. I don't get Rashi. But even I know for a change, I don't think it's my bad math. Of what? From the dead they get half, that's 50. And from the live, they get how much? 100, so it's 125. But he's only owed 75. Says Chatzia Nezek Chatzia Meis, the Shov Kuf Cafe, Matel Kol Chad Pseta 75. We have to see that on Sunday.
That's a new math.
No, really? Look at Rashi. Shlomo, help me.
If the Shov goes to 100,
yeah.
being a tom, like
okay.
100, dead body is